So, how tonight is going to go is I am going to share a little bit about my story from moving from a limited place in my life and living literally like a nightmare of my life to now living this limitless place where I'm just creating everything I'm desiring at like rapid rates of knots and just in crazy ways that I never saw were possible. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about that story. And I really want you to, I guess, reflect on your own story of where you felt really limited and you've been creating stuff you don't want, or you're just not creating what you do. And then where you felt that you've been limitless as well, because you've had moments where you have as well, even if you're not feeling like it's all of your life right now, you have spaces and times where you are limitless. And I want you to learn from that because there's a reason why we are where we are and we're creating what we are. Okay. So firstly, I'm going to talk a bit about a story and weave in the messages and lessons I would love to land with you as I share the story, because I really love stories. I don't know if you do, but I do. So that's the first thing. And then I'm really going to open the space up for you to ask questions and to do coaching with you on like the biggest block right now. Okay. So I really want to give this the space just to meet you where you're at and what you need. And I will not hold back. It is my birthday tomorrow. So the reason I got the idea to do this is because I literally am so full of gratitude, like nearly crying of gratitude just before I was tuning into this. Just the life I'm now living and where I've come from and just the lessons I've been handed down from this ancient work that I love. And I just want to pass it on, I really, really do. And so I was like, I know birthdays are about gifts and us often receiving them, but, I don't want to die with this left in my heart and people not knowing what I know deep down that has changed my absolute life. So I want to share it with you as well. Okay. So that's my desire. And I just want to meet you and give you as much as I physically possibly can. Okay. So I'm not going to hold back and go, no, you must come and work with me and be paid by, pay me to tell you the secrets. Like, I just want to give you anything I possibly can, that's the thing. I will mention at the end, if anyone is interested in working with me, exploring that, I will mention ways that you can look at that at the end, just to be transparent with you. But it's not a sales manipulative thing. It will just be, if you liked this and if you feel energy, come and explore it with me. If you don't, I love you and I hope you've got benefit. That's all it will be. Okay. So yeah, thank you, ladies. And thank you so much for being here. Your time is so precious. You are such a precious soul. And I'm just so grateful to have you here because I know how much, that means. So thank you for your attention and presence. That's the most precious gift we can give each other. So, all right, let's go. Hey, let's go. Now, this is recorded as well. So you will get a replay sent and others that couldn't make it, because others don't wake up at 3 a.m. like Pauline, the incredible Pauline does. So just know that if you do share a question or something, it will be in a recording that will be emailed to people. So you know that. I will often, if someone writes a question, want maybe you to unmute and share something else potentially. But if you really don't want that, you can just say anonymous, and I can just read it and respond more anonymously. It's just if, you unmute and share, I can often help more specifically, that's all. Anyway, let's go. You girls ready? Whoop, whoop. We ready? Whoop, whoop. All right. So let's go. So Miranda, the limited, I will call her. I grew up, I'm just going to speak to a few things. Obviously I could go on about this for a long time, but I'm not going to go on. And it's just for the benefit of you receiving some wisdom out of these lessons, and hopefully that you don't need to repeat them yourself. Okay. And you learn from my mistakes and then also the journey of triumph as well. Okay. So I want you to really listen in here as to what's the message here for you? What's really resonating here for you? So when I grew up, I did have a father who I came from a farm. And some of the girls who've been on my recent masterclass will know bits of this, but I tell it different every time. So you'll learn different things. So he grew up on a farm, and he was someone who had like this scarcity, feast, famine sort of mindset. And he still to this day does a little bit. Like, he doesn't buy new clothes. He'll wear the same ones for 20 years, even though he's a pilot earning whatever $100,000 he does now. He'll still just wear like clothes for 20 years that have got holes in them or whatever. Like, he's got sort of that farmer mentality, right? He doesn't do the butter with the the fat, I don't know what that's called, if anyone knows what that is, dripping. My grandpa used to do that. But anyway, he's got the feast famine thing, right? So they'd have lots of food and things in some seasons and they didn't in others. And so it was out of their control. And so he started to have that relationship with jobs and money himself. So when I was growing up, he was a pilot, and he lost his jobs on occasions and in ways that were outside of his control, like pilot disputes and government things that happened, and all the pilots lost their jobs, and he couldn't work for like a year, and he had to work just shearing sheep and like all this stuff. It was a very different role to the piloting. And I remember being very, very afraid. I remember one day, like, he was chopping wood, like really angry at the government because he couldn't find his job again. And I remember that real fear of, like, work isn't permanent, jobs aren't permanent, money's not permanent, it comes and goes. And like, I remember the fighting and the tension that was caused in my family in those sort of times. And so I didn't know it at the time, but I was starting to form this relationship with money that was like, it's not reliable, it's not trustworthy, it's not around, you can't control it, you are powerless around it, causes fights and friction. At the end of the day, like, my family, my parents divorced when I was 19, but the issue started because my dad lost his job and he had to move away from us and live away to make money. And so money broke my family up. Money is bad. It's horrible. And it's, comes and goes whenever it pleases. And I can't trust it, So as I grow up, what do? With these sort of unconscious beliefs I wasn't even aware of, I get jobs that I lose just from random contracts ending or whatever, often right before Christmas, right around my birthday. There was a pattern around that time as well. And I can't keep work often, or money goes up and down. And it's just that real fear and scarcity, and that real pattern keeps continuing, in my work and things. Now, I'm going to tell you how it played out in my business as well, but I want to pause there for a moment and tell you something else about my childhood. In my childhood, I also had a bit of a fear of abandonment. Not because anyone physically really did that to me, but emotionally, there was a bit of like withdrawing and leaving me and not being there for me when I needed it. My dad obviously flying away, but my mum emotionally. And so when I was older, I married this man, and I met him when I was 21, married him, was together with him for 10 years. The reason I didn't actually love a whole lot of things about him, to be honest. He didn't have a lot of the things I was wanting, but the one thing I thought is that I had a real fear of being abandoned. I had a real fear of divorce. I had a real fear of being left. So he came from this really stable, conservative family who, like, I just thought he would never do that. He'd be the last person that would do that. He was really consistent, reliable. So I chose him thinking that, right? Thinking I'm going to get out of this abandonment I had as a child. Like, I'm going to choose this man because he's the one man who will never leave me. And that's all I really like about him, but that's enough. Like, that's the one thing I don't want. So I'm going to go, right? Throughout our marriage, I'm really afraid of him leaving and cheating and all these things. There's just obviously stuff in my childhood. This was a preoccupation of mine. When I'm 6 months pregnant, starting to think I've got all these things, I'd consciously, like, masculine energy, try to force my life into the way I wanted it to be, try to study psychology for 6 years, 7 years, just do everything I could to create this life that I wanted, right? To be this limitless woman, and spend all this money on it, all this time and energy on it. 6 months pregnant, ticking off the boxes. I'm turning 30, having my baby. I've got my husband and we're together for 10 years. I got a good job that I'm getting paid well, and I'm speaking in front of 1,000 kids. I'm like a head of well-being at a school, and I'm starting my own business. And I wanted to do that since I was 16. So I'm like, yeah, awesome. I'm limitless. Look at me. I'm going to tell the world all about me, and how much I've worked really hard and created what I wanted. Look at what I've created. Within 1 month, my husband just completely drastically changed. And I found out he was having an affair. The one thing I was most afraid of was the thing I was creating with him. And obviously I didn't see it at the time that way, and so we broke up. I said, we can't be together, couldn't work through it. And so we ended our relationship. And all of a sudden I was on this peak experience and this top of my world. And I just fell right to the bottom because I had a man I loved for 10 years. I was not with anymore. I was facing being a mum before I was a single mum, before I was even a mum. Didn't have a job because I was on mat leave. Didn't have any money. Was depressed and suicidal. So I wasn't able to start a well-being coaching business. I couldn't even get out of bed. All of a sudden, everything I'd worked my whole life to avoid and run away from, I had created in a moment with my ex. Every single fear I had happened all at once. And I woke up every day just hoping I would wake up out of this nightmare and it was just a dream, but it wasn't. I was living my literal nightmare. And I felt very limited and very powerless. And I was depressed because of that fact of feeling like there was nothing I could do. I tried my hardest. I tried everything I physically possibly could. And I look at what I created, a disaster. And I just was down because that's what I thought was now I'm out of control. I'm powerless. There's no way out of this. And I felt the most limited I possibly could. There was a few months of sort of feeling that way, feeling really down, feeling a lot of pity and victim. It was in a victim state. You know, my unconscious was running riot, shredding me to shreds of how ugly should I have been for a man to have done that to me when I'm most vulnerable. Like I must be so unlovable. I didn't want to tell many people about it. I was just in so much shame. And it was only like a month before my son was born. And I just faced myself. And I remember being like, Miranda, you can't live like this. And you can't bring your son into the world like this. You are a zombie. Like I was literally feeling like I was walking around as a skeleton. I was like, you cannot bring your son into the world like this. You know, you deserve better. He deserves better. And I decided in that moment that I was actually going to apply what I had learned. And I was actually going to use what I had learned, not just know it in my head, but actually start to live it in my heart. And I decided to really begin to heal myself and go into counseling, get coaches, like literally just go all in on things. And it was interesting. Before my husband and I broke up a year before, we'd started having some issues I was aware of. And so I looked at getting a relationship coach. We were both earning, you know, 120K, whatever, plus savings and blah. And this coach was $2,000. And I was like, no, I can't pay that, you know. And then I like looked later on at this divorce and look, you know, we probably would have ended it this way. We weren't really meant to be together. Intuitively, it was wrong the whole time. I was just holding on to it for a very long time. So I don't know if that would have saved our marriage, but I know that would have saved my heart and the breakup and helped me move through it so much more than what I did. So my son was a couple of weeks old and I decided I want to start my business. I started feeling a lot better and I started doing deep self-compassion work. And like, no matter that I didn't have anything on the external world, I felt very full within. I looked at myself in the mirror for the first time and I looked at my body and I felt so much love and beauty for it. Even though I just had my son and he had this real jelly belly. And like when I was 50 kilos, you know, months before, I thought I was the most ugly thing on the planet. And then I'm looking at myself in the mirror, seeing that it's not about the external, it's about how I see myself from within. I started feeling abundant, even though I had no money coming through. But I just started to realize there was so much coming from within me that it actually wasn't determined by outside of me. It was all from inside. So I started feeling incredible and amazing and building my life back up just from the work of self-compassion alone. Like I literally didn't know any other modality. I hadn't studied much other coaching. I'd done a bit of coaching, but not much more. I just used self-compassion every day, multiple times a day. And I based my love on myself in an unconditional way that was not determined by self-esteem and whether I had money so I was better than everyone else. Because self-esteem is about an evaluation of me versus everyone and whether I'm better or worse based on if I have money. Oh, that means I'm better. Do I have a good body? Oh, that means I'm better. Do I have a man? Oh, I'm better. Oh, no, I'm single. I'm bad. That's what I used to do. And I literally just was like, no, self-compassion means you and I are equally valuable no matter what, no matter where we are, how much we have, what we look like. You are a miracle of life. I'm a miracle of life and I deserve love and you deserve love. No, full stop. I started to embody that and that literally changed my life just from that practice. Started to feel limitless, even though my life didn't necessarily reflect it. And funnily enough, when I started feeling better, I started treating myself better. I started looking better. I started having men follow me everywhere around. I started growing a business, even though I had no flipping idea what I was doing. So I started to get a taste of some limitlessness because it was created from within. The limited view was all about the external, right? Now, I'd love to say then from there it was cherries and roses and, you know, but that's not the story of often our human journey, you know. But it was the first time I started to see myself as a limitless being that was, it was unconditional. It was not related to circumstance and the external. Now, interestingly, in this time, I saw these patterns happen as well. I believed at that moment that the universe and God was going to provide for me because I'm a single mom and I believed that they weren't going to leave me like my husband did. I believed every month I'm going to get the exact same amount of money that I used to get paid in my job, even though I wasn't working full time. every month I made that exact amount of money every single month. And it wasn't always from my business. Sometimes it came from a random gift by someone or some money that just got sent from the government for some reason or whatever it was. But every single month, when I believed it, it happened. But there was a month I moved away to the beach and I moved away from my family. For some reason, when I moved away, I believed God moved away as well and I wasn't going to get looked after anymore. And you know what happened that month? I made $0 that month. And I hadn't cottoned on to the fact yet that all my world on the outside is created from inside of me, even though these things I could tell you moment by moment, tracking everything that happened on the outside, being mirrored from what was happening from within. There was a time I was really down because my ex had something happened with my ex, and then something happened with this guy and it all fell down. And so I got really low and down again. And right in that moment, my garage broke, my heater broke, you know, those things, and they say happens in threes. Like, it's just like everything, I was feeling shit and everything went wrong. My business went down again. Literally moment by moment, I could tell you and look over my timeline, and you could do this too and see where you were just creating either results that you wanted or results that you didn't. We are creating everything, co-creating it all. That's the most powerful thing. Sometimes we think, well, that's, you know, what if I'm a victim here or whatever, but it's actually the most powerful thing to see how much of a creator you are for what you want to have and what you don't, because that means you can actually do something about it and shift it. Now, I still hadn't cottoned on to these facts yet. I was still very much in my masculine mode, very much in the strategy, trying to force my way and willpower to create what I wanted and not really listening to the flow of life in the universe yet. So I hired these strategy coaches because I was still trying to really build my business. Now, it was interesting. The first few months, 6 months of my business, I had no idea what I was doing, but I made $30,000 in 6 months, which was pretty good for a single mom who was trying to deal with a 6-week-old and a divorce and all these things that I was emotionally dealing with at the time. And also like sleep deprivation and creating a business where I had no flipping clue and no idea what I was doing. But I hired this strategy coach thinking, again, she's the answer, not really understanding this universe thing and the energy thing. But when I hired her, my money in my business went down. Why? I was doing this self-worth resilience coaching with women. It was a very general area because that my whole life had turned to shit and then I turned it around. So I wanted to work on that. But she told me that's not a niche and that's not, doesn't make money. It's not a profitable niche. So you don't have anything in your life that is a result right now other than you've lost weight. So you're a weight loss coach. You don't have a husband. You don't have a kid who's old enough to be a parent coach, blah, 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 blah. You be a weight loss coach. And I was like, I don't really care about weight. Like I cared about that when I was 20. Did you know my husband did you just hear what I said? Like, you know, and she's like, no. Yeah. So I fought with her for a bit, but I was like, okay, she's the strategy coach. I'll do what she says. Like, do it. Falls flat. Hardly make any money, even though it's meant to be the money niche, didn't make anything. I didn't care about it. I wasn't energized by it. My intuition wasn't leading me by that way. Someone was dictating to me what I had to do because that worked for them, or that's something they read in some book, or some coach told them that, and that's the guru. So they got to do it. Didn't work. When I returned back to general coaching, returned back to what I felt was really true, my business grew again. But I'm a bit of a slow learner, so I don't get to see this all the time. Now, I tried the strategy approach. I tried to get coach after coach, you know, for many, many years after that. It was 3 years actually. And I was making 30K this year, 40K this year, 50K. And it was still great again for working the time I was in being a single mom. But I wasn't getting that elusive like 10K months or things that they went on about. So I uncovered this like energy work. Someone was talking about it. Someone had got great results in it. So I went and started to investigate it. And I did this Joe Dispenza meditation for a month. And I was really sick of strategy by this point. I'm like, I have worked so hard trying to force my way into what I want. Same as my whole life up to when I created with my ex. I was trying to force my way in my life to be what I wanted by willpower and by avoiding what I didn't want. And I just created the worst, you know, and I kept doing this in my business. It's like stuff strategy. I'm having a month where I'm meditating. Like, I'm going to meditate for a month about the 10K month. And I'm like, I'm going to just go all in and see how it goes. I meditate, didn't do any strategy. The last call on that night, on the last day of that month, I made $10,000 in total that month. And I'd never done it ever before that. I couldn't replicate it the next month because I didn't believe it again. But I started to realize, hang on, there's something about this energy stuff. I started to then go, hang on, I looked back and saw all this time, like I'm actually limitless. And I actually created that from inside of me. Oh, this message has been coming up a lot. Hang on. But I tried one more time with the strategy thing. Gave one more go. I was like, all right, I'm still going to do this. And I still think there's just something I'm not getting with the strategy thing. Like you think by this time, the universe probably sitting there like, what the heck? Like, what are you doing, Moran? But sometimes we just don't hear the message. So I'm spending $5K a month on this strategy guy. The worst time in my business, well, I'm following what he says. 4 months, $0. Because he's telling me to do all this strategy work that I don't really care about, that he's really good at, that I'm not necessarily had a massive background in. And he's like, the energy work, all that stuff, shit, no one's going to pay for that. Don't do that. The psychology, like no one cares about that. Don't do that. Your whole life, like no one cares about that. Don't do that. Just do what I say. It worked for me. Do this. That's not what he's saying, but that's basically what it was. Got myself into $20,000 of debt in my bank account, borrowed some money from my dad, didn't have any more to borrow. Looking at literally the next month having to leave my house. I don't have anywhere to live. I felt so much shame and guilt spiraling, because how on earth did I create this reality for myself and my son? Beating myself up, hating my life. Again, ripping my hair out, I've tried everything, 3.5 years of working my absolute ass off, getting a couple of little pieces. But look, I'm back even worse off than I was before. Why the heck did I even try this coaching business in the first place? This is the worst idea possible. Don't know if you've ever been there. And then I decided to take some lessons again from what I'd learned from before. One being my coach, another coach I had at the time, who was a bit more of an energy man, told me to watch this It's a Beautiful Life movie. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's a beautiful movie if you haven't. And it's quite an old movie, but it's basically about this man and his son being in a concentration camp. But the man loves his son and he's just trying to make it out like he's not in a concentration camp. And he's trying to help his son have a game and see it's all a game. And it's incredibly sad, but incredibly beautiful. And the lesson I really got out of that is like, my son doesn't care about how much money I have or not. He just wants me, and I can love him without the money. The money's not determining my worth. I'm worthy with $20,000 in the bank account or with negative $20,000. It doesn't actually change anything about who Miranda is and how much my son loves me and how much I love him. And so I start to just love myself again, even though I feel completely unworthy in many ways. I again bring back that unconditional love. I start to realize that it's not about my bank account, because before, when I had money in there, I still felt lack. It's about what's from within. And I started to see where my abundance from the outside is, how much the trees are there, the nature's there, my ocean's there. I have so much surrounded in my house and love and support. And I have so many people here to love and support me. I'm surrounded by abundance. I lived 300, 400 years ago. I'm a queen, like living like a queen compared to back then. I'm abundant now. And instead of what this coach was trying to get me to do by messaging all these people and seeing them as dollar bills and like their leads, and I'm going to get a sales call and I'm going to make a sale, because I was on 20 sales calls, every single person said no. They could sense I saw them as a dollar bill. Who on earth would say yes to someone who's not seeing a human being, but is seeing them as a dollar? I started to care about that person I looked at in the screen, and I started to serve them and care about their mission and care about what I was here to transform them in, instead of the money. And I needed money in a lot of ways, but I stopped caring about that and just trusted that if I serve them to my highest, that's going to get taken care of. I don't even have to worry about that. And I started to realize that I was coming from a limited perspective. I was coming as this limited being. All these worries, all this focus was on all of this limitation, my uncertainty, my doubt of myself, what else was going to go wrong, my fear, all of these things. And I started to turn it into understanding, and this is when I first learned about my superconscious, and turned it into like, who is Miranda actually, and where's this powerful woman? And she can create everything. She's created all this stuff she loved and stuff she hated. I can create whatever I want. And in that month, I changed those few things. And I had my first $20,000 month at the end of that month. And I've never gone back from that ever again. 4 years ago now. My whole life, I was up and down with money, never had it, lost job. I've never gone below a $10,000 a month ever again. $20,000 a month, $30,000 a month, 100,000 launch, 200,000 launch, 200,000 launch, nearly 300,000 launch. Never, because I shifted some of those key things of knowing how it's internal and not about the external, of knowing that everything's a reflection. The micro inside of me is a reflection on the macro on the outside. Started to know that I'm a super conscious being. I'm a powerful woman. And yes, I can have all these doubts and these limitations and beliefs, but there's another part of me is incredibly powerful that can go for what she wants and gets what she wants every single time. I started to realize that it's about unconditional love, and it's not about whether I have money or not. I don't care, right? Next month, I may not have whatever. That doesn't mean that Miranda's not worthy anymore. I'm always worthy and equally valuable, and so are you. Everyone is. Started to learn these key things, started to learn about mission and focusing on these other people instead of all that I could get. And when I take care of them, my needs are taken care of at the same time. I don't have to worry about that. It's a natural byproduct. I started to realize that I don't have to consciously force and willpower my way. I just take the messages from the universe. I take energy and lessons, and then I create everything that I desire. Instead of trying to force myself with the river and make myself get where I want, let's just go, let go and take it and get the messages and move and maneuver with life as we go. I'm going to tell you one last thing, maybe a couple last things, but when I first created my $100,000 month, it was the first time I created a $100,000 launch. It was a massive upgrade to go from, where I was to that. And it all happened in 1 month. Firstly, I got a download of this alchemy program that I now run still to this day, but it came from like the universe. It literally, I had this embodiment retreat where I did all this somatic deep work on my unconscious and myself. And I was really clear and really just felt really at peace and calm. And then 2 days later, I just woke up out of bed and I just had this download of this program and what was included and how it was meant to look and how I was meant to give it to people and how I was meant to market it. And it just all came to me in like literally 20 minutes in the morning. I wrote it all down. 1 month later, I have a 100K month launching it. That wasn't the end of it though. Every day I asked God and the universe to show me what was like the resistance, what was keeping me away from this. Show me what's keeping me away. And I would get triggered and something would highlight the emotion that was blocking me from that. And so like, one of them was worth. A lot of them for me are about my worth and how worthy I am and whether I deserve it or not. And interestingly, it came from a trigger with a man. This man and I would look like hanging out, all this stuff happened. I could tell you more, but anyway, it just seemed very synchronistic. It seemed like we were made to maybe date or whatever. But as soon as he found out I had a child, he was just out. He was off. And I was like, he was a chef who works at the local pub and that's all he ever done. I was like, I'm not even worthy for the chef at the local pub. He doesn't even see, that was what I was feeling. But that wasn't about him. That was just a trigger from the universe to say, Miranda, you don't feel worthy for what you want. That's why you can't have alchemy yet. You need to deal with this, feel this, release this. Then you can have that, because that's a wall in the way right now. And if I can tell you my strategy for getting what I want, that was an 100K launch. I did the exact same thing for getting my Range Rover. I desired this Range Rover for years. And there was one day I went out to have a look at one, and the exact one that I wanted was sitting right there, built the exact way I would have wanted to get it. And I was thinking I was going to have to wait maybe 2 years to build it and get it and whatever, maybe more. And it was there for me in a month. Just from doing this work. I just got a house yesterday. I've wanted a dog for 3 years because I've been in a house that I can't have. After I got the house, they said I can have a dog at this place. I just literally looked online, and the exact dog that I want is a really hard breed to get, little mini dash hound, this little dapple color, was just sitting there 3 hours before, just put up online, and I've just got her. This like just desiring something. I launched Alchemy, right? Just launched it a couple of weeks ago, this new opening for it. And while I was in Egypt, traveling the world, loving what I was doing, because I was told by my intuition to go there, 5 people want to join up to Alchemy when I haven't even told anyone it's open yet. They're just messaging me while I'm in Egypt. Started the first week, 7 people in the first week before I just like let anyone know, all signed up and joined. Mostly nearly full, got 2 places left right now, and I haven't even finished the launch yet. I've literally just been like enjoying myself and my life and enjoying the women who are coming, and I'm just receiving them. I'm not having to work hard and strive and push and hustle and force. I'm receiving the people who are meant for me. This is the limitless woman. That's not the way I ever used to be. That's not the way my life ever was, but it's created now because of these lessons and learning about energy and how to work this work. Because when you work with energy, when you work with your superconscious, when you work with these powers, the universe and your superconscious is doing a lot of the work for you. I'm sitting there enjoying my life in Egypt. It's calling people to me before I've even said anything or done anything. I'm just living at a frequency, trying to embody more of alchemy in myself. And people are drawn to that, magnetized to it. And they're awesome, incredible souls. They're like literal dream clients of mine. That's my story of the limited, the limitless woman. Tell me in the chat, what's your key takeaway? It went a little bit longer than I thought, but I felt called to share all the pieces. And if you are off camera, I would love it if you can go on camera, because I'm going to start doing some Q&A and asking you guys what you need. Self-love, be yourself. Want to know this energy work? Yeah, I can tell you more. Service to others. Yes, I love your stories. Oh, thank you, Dal. Self-compassion, listen to your intuition, accept yourself. Everything is a reflection on the inside. Yeah, 100%. I know this and it's happening for me, but my takeaway is to be more consistent with the practice around it. Yes. And this is the thing, like that's a really key piece there, Joe, because when I say I do that practice, that energy practice that I mentioned briefly, as soon as I get triggered, like I'm working with that straight away. Like I am so devoted to that, you know. And obviously there's still strategy I do and action I take and things. It's not all the poo-poo, the masculine, like we don't need that. It's the marriage of it all. But there's the devotion and the commitment. You know, I'm so devoted to that. That's like a massive priority, because your energy and your frequency is your currency, in my opinion. If my energy is off, I co-create heaps of random shit I don't like. And if my energy's on, I create awesome stuff I love, you know? So it's, yeah, the dedication, devotion to it. Yeah, coming from within, owning your creativity. Yeah, your genius, your intuition, your creativity is your highest power. And one thing I didn't mention there, which I think some of you took away, is I literally, like, when I used to run these masterclasses and stuff, I'd do these slides and I'd have all this stuff ready and I'd be like, oh yeah, all prepped and whatever. I just tuned into the energy of this and was like, I'm going to feel like into what I want to share when I want to share it, and trust that I'm going to be a conduit for what needs to be said to you. I'm just being myself. You know, and the more us that we are, the more the right people who are meant for you come to you. Might be some people who don't vibe with that, but that's fine, because there'll be lots that do. So your coming into your true nature is so powerful as well. We all have the power. Yes, self-compassion, yeah. Ability to to tap into our limitless self. Yes, we all have it. Embrace our authenticity, 100%. Believe you're worthy. Yes, we are worthy. And you look at those little babies when they come into the world, you see that they're worthy and they're deserving of all things. Like, and you were, you know, you saw that life that way too. It's just that you, as you get older and you start building this ego and this identity and this unconscious, you start thinking you're separated from things and you aren't worthy of things. We're at our core and our true nature and our superconscious, we're attached and, like, you know, connected to all, not attached, but connected to all things. So it's not even a question of worth. It's just like a no-brainer. It's just yours. If you desire it, everyone has their own desires that are uniquely theirs. And if you deeply desire it in the core of your heart, it's meant for you. The fact that you desire it, it's yours, you know, if it's from that true place. Loving yourself. Definite block with self-belief. Yeah. A lot of compassion, like how you ask the universe to show. Yeah. And I truly believe in that we're co-creating with the universe. And that's when I used to work so hard because I thought it was all on me and it was all by myself. It's not. There is the universe, God, the superconscious, whoever you really believe in, your guides, like whatever it is, your ancestors, like we are surrounded by love and surrounded by support and people just wanting to pour that into us. But I never saw it that way. And so I didn't, I created those nightmares. when you get triggered, damn it, stop woman and do the work, not the masculine stuff. Yeah. And I don't want you to feel like I poo-poo the masculine. Like, I really truly honor the masculine, and I really love the integration of all, you know, because there is a world out there in the strategy world and things who like think the feminine and energy is all woo-woo and shit and whatever. But there's also the energy and the full spiritual world that thinks the masculine's evil. And it's like, there's not. There's a duality, and we can actually marry them. And that's where the perfect, you know, integration is, for sure. The feminine. See, for me, because I had such so this is the thing, right? There's a potion and a work for everyone that it's like, if something's not working yet, it's just because there's one part missing. It's either like a potion part that you got to add in, or like, if you like to see it as scientific, like cogs, you just got to change one of the cogs, right? There's one cog missing. So for me, the feminine worked so much for me and so powerfully because I was very strongly in my masculine for my whole life. Up until the last sort of 3 years, I was very masculine driven. So the feminine works so well because when I didn't tap into that at all, I actually had a really negative and relationship to the feminine because of my relation to my mum and grandma growing up. There was a lot of pain and things there. So I really rejected the feminine from that. And so when I started to bring the feminine into my life and my business, that's why it helps so much. However, I've had clients who have done the opposite and they've rejected the masculine for a long time. So when I bring that more into them, that helps as well. So yeah, it's all very powerful. The universe will always provide for in our highest frequency, 100%. Beautiful, girls, Mamira. So yeah, loving the takeaways, loving that. Now, I would love you, probably best to put in the chat, I would say, like, if you have a question or you have something that you would really love me to talk to, you have a block that you really love spoken to, like, I'd love you to put it in the chat, because this is the time now for me to support you writing exactly what you need, you know, right now. And I might not be able to get to every single person, but I will endeavor to get to, you know, as many as I possibly can, and as much as I can. Okay, so Eva, if you could just in the chat put like what it's about, because yeah, that would help me. Karen, block on how to start. Okay, do you want to tell me any more just briefly about that, Dal, with what you mean?
Yeah, it's to do with so happy birthday to Miranda for tomorrow.
Yeah.
So it is really in starting. I've done so much study that I'm now about to embark on creating my business. And it's like, this is foreign territory and there isn't the security of money coming in.
Yeah.
I got offered a job for 2 days a week, so I grabbed it just to have a little bit of security.
Beautiful. I was going to say that, like, one thing about when you're starting, like, you know, the financial viability of your business is the biggest risk, and then you giving up because it's just not viable, right? So it is, I know there are some people that's like burn the boat, blah, 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 but I really believe that if there is an ability for you to have like a 2-day-a-week job or something where you can pay your bills and that's like nervous system's taken care of, it's really helpful. You know, there were times in my story I didn't mention that I like did some casual teaching and stuff just so I could pay my bills, to feel not in that need of desperation, because we're in an energy of lack and desperation. Very difficult to attract clients, especially in coaching and things as well, not just in products and services. So that's one thing that I think like is great, if you can have some type of foundation of that coming in to the point that you can still do the business and work. The other thing I'll say is that, yeah, this transition time of doing the work and business, it's quite taxing and difficult to do it all, right? So you do want to make this as short as possible, the transition time as possible, you know? So I really recommend like working in rhythms and cycles within yourself, but and this is how it works for me personally. It may not be for you. You got to see and feel into how it works for you, but I prefer to sort of go launch something for 6 weeks or go really in something for 6 weeks, give it my all, and then have like a 2-week bit more of a break or relaxing a bit more or whatever, and then go again. And like, that's how I like to work. And not when I pull back, I don't mean stopping, because I find when I stop, my momentum then stops and it's really hard to get going again. I had 6 months off at the start of the year, just because I could, right? And I wanted to, and for different reasons, I wanted to put energy into men. But it actually was like, felt like I was starting my business again when I came back into marketing. You know, I still had my clients, but marketing I took off. And yeah, I'm just not doing that now. It's just so much easier for me to just chug it in the background, if that makes sense. But in terms of the business, how to start, one thing you really need to be aware of in coaching particularly is like, don't become a course junkie. Because I spent $450,000 the last 7 years in coaching, modality work. Like it was really coming from that unconscious thing of like, I'm not ready, I'm not enough, I'm not worthy, I don't deserve. So I need to just become the bloody most resource powered up, coach around. However, I don't really even use most of those modalities, like they didn't actually help me with my certainty. I had to do another one all the time, right? So just be really aware. A lot of coaches can have that pattern, and there's a lot of modalities and things being thrown at you all the time, right? I've worked with 5 coaches the most of the time the last couple of years. I'm being really disciplined now the last year, where I'm like, I'm only going where I intuitively am led very clearly. And I'm just saying no to everything else. And I've just have so many people ask me to work with them. Like, it's just nuts, but I'm just really strong on that. So that's something really key. However, don't be like scarce when you do feel it, like it's good to invest in what's right? Because it's an investment. Same with a house deposit or whatever. When you invest in your business, there is like this employee mentality versus an entrepreneur mentality. An entrepreneur, if you're going to start a building business, a cafe, whatever, you're going to have to invest in it before you make money. And you may have a little while where you don't make money from it and you're just pouring money in the business. Like every entrepreneur outside of coaching knows that. For some reason, coaches don't get that, and there is a risk when you're starting out that there's a really high expectation of like making money quickly, because you see these people having 10K months and all these stories, and then frustration when it takes longer. But I would say the biggest thing for you starting is you need to focus on your input and how much you're putting into the business and for people, and serving and value, and putting yourself out there and getting on sales calls and like getting coaching, even if it's pro bono to begin. And I would focus on that. And the output and the result, just look at that as feedback. Don't expect, be pleasantly surprised if you make some money from your business the first few years. The first few years, I didn't make money. I just kept pouring it back in the business. I'd probably be a little bit kinder to myself looking back now and being like, maybe I would have taken a bit of holiday and taken it, but I still had that mentality, knowing that it wasn't going to be something that would happen in like 6 months, because people give up because there's just these unrealistic expectations. And their focus is on the result instead of the input and what they're putting in. Same as if someone goes to the gym, used to be a health coach, and think that in 1 week they're meant to lose 10 kilos, and then they don't. So they go and eat Macca's because they're pissed off about it. That's what happens with coaches all the time, So that's what I would say. And the other thing I'll say as well is just take a whole lot of courageous action at the beginning. Bold, courageous action, revenue generating things where you're actually getting yourself in front of people, adding value, asking if they want to work with you. Like that's the key things. A lot of people, me included, for first 4 months of my business, wasted time creating a website where I got 3 people from my whole 4 years of website, and it's like, now a website, I got someone to make it and I paid someone, and it, if people come from it, maybe, I don't even know. Most people come from like me doing these things and giving actual value to people. I'm not sitting there on some static website. They look at my photo and like, oh, Miranda, So get yourself dirty, get in front of people, do free coaching, often market research calls, get on like trainings for people. Like just I'd say like put yourself out there that way.
That sounds exciting. I just want to serve, but then I have to be practical about what comes in too.
Well, and with pro bono and stuff, you can just do 2 free sessions and say, hey, did you love it? Like, I've got a package, I'll discount it for you. You don't have to go nuts and give them, like one of my clients today is like, I'm going to give them 3 months free. I'm like, no, you're not. You're not giving them 3 months free. But you don't have to go that crazy, right? But when I made that first 20K month, like I had 5 pro bonos that I was serving for like 4 free sessions, and they got access to like 2 modules of my online program. And then I think 3 or 4 of them stayed on. And then I also had extra people applying. So they got the discount rate straight away. I couldn't put more pro bonos on. And yeah, so it's like, just give them some value for them to, same with this, right? Like I'm here to give you value, but also if people like me and there's energy here, let's go look at working together. Awesome. So if you're valuing and serving, you're not going to necessarily work for everyone, and it won't mean they all sign on, but people want to know. Same as like I went to the bed shop today. I'm looking at buying a new bed. I want to get on the bed and lie on it and go like this and see it, right? I don't want to just look online and go, does that the bed I want? Like I want to see it, touch it. They need to see you. They need to feel you. You know, the videos, posts, like value that way is good too. However, like the more close up and personal they can get to you, the more one-on-one or group time, the better. And whatever you love, Dal, if you love being in person, like one of my clients loves networking. She loves being in person. Like I was like, go out there. You know, she doesn't love online. She loves that. And she works really well in that space. So, I mean, I don't think you should say no to anything, but yeah, go where you love as well. All right.
Thank you, Miranda.
No, all good. Thank you. All right. So, limited in my ability to have clarity with my clear inner guidance. Sometimes it's really clear. Other times I can't see what I can't see. It's invisible to me. Something significant. Do you want to unmute and share anything else, Dal, or do you want me to just sort of talk to what you have here?
Hello, thank you. I guess I can see, I know what I want. I know what I desire. I can also see what's in my current reality, and it doesn't marry up. So it's like, okay, I'm continually creating this reality. And I'm asking the questions to go, what is next? What do I need to do? And sometimes that's really clear, and other times it's not. And as you share your story, you talk about the clarity and the downloads and, you know, every step, you know, you knew what the program was and what was included and how to do the marketing and all the rest of it. I don't have that clarity no matter how much I'm asking. It's simple. And the same with the being of service. It's like when I get to be with somebody and that's my natural way of being, of service, and they want to do business, but I can't seem to find the people to get in front of. There's the invisibility there again.
Okay. So I'm going to chat to a couple of things that are popping up for me as you share that. One is that intention is really powerful and important. And sometimes you might feel like you're consciously, you know, setting an intention, like I want to know this program or I want to be seen or whatever. But if it's not happening, then unconsciously, like there's an intention, like, no, you don't, no way, you know, we don't want to be seen. You know, that's really scary. There's judgment there or whatever, you know, like, so if you can't see or you don't know it, there is an unconscious part of you that doesn't want to know, you know, it's just that clear, like there is some part, and you get frustrated because you're like, there was a coach who once said to me, like, Miranda, I was at that time when I was really, a lot of bad things were happening in my life, about a year after my husband and I broke up. And I was working with him on insecurity, and he's just like, Miranda, you don't want to know. And, you know, because I wasn't receiving the insight I wanted to break through. And he's like, you just don't want to know. And I was so pissed off with him. I was like, I do fucking want to know, you know, you bastard. Like he's like, you don't, because if you did, you would know, you know, your unconscious doesn't. This isn't safe. It's like locked away in your unconscious. And do not read, secret, sacred, don't open, like, you know. And so I went on a walk after that with myself, and I talked to myself all day. And I basically was just like, to my inner child and like my unconscious, I was just like, and I like often have out loud conversations like with my inner child and my unconscious. And I was just like, we're not leaving this walk. Like I had my son in childcare all day. I'm like, I'm staying here until we get to the bottom of this. Like, this is not staying. I'm setting the intention that by the end of this, like, and even that intention, the first thing she said to me solved everything. Like, and then we just sort of talked the rest of the day, just talked it back. But the first thing she said was what I needed to hear, because I was like, I'm in business, right? Just said, like, you don't care about me when there's no problem. You only talk to me when there's a problem. We're only friends. Like, we're not even friends. You just come to me because to fix a problem. You don't have any other relationship with me outside of that. When you're happy, you piss off and you never talk to me, you know? And so that was her answer. I was like, okay, we can fix that. I'll talk to you every day, no matter what, you know, like, but because I'm just saying, I set that intention and straight away it came out, you know? And there is a part of you that wants to know, but there's a part that doesn't. So talk to that part that doesn't and why they don't, you know? And that's the same on the invisibility. I'm feeling like there is still some fears and wounds, and like, what are you afraid of? If you like, what's the worst case scenario? If you became really visible and you really put yourself out there, like, what are you afraid would happen? And not even stop at that, like actually live through the fear, walk through the fear, imagine it. I have this thing where I'm on my bed. Whenever I'm in fear, I lie on my bed, and this is in the middle of like my launches and stuff. If a big fear pops up, you know, and I get triggered in that, I lie on my bed and I'm a starfish, and I just breathe deeply, and I just imagine the worst things happening to me, like the most horrible horrors of my mind. Like I just let them flow and I breathe them through, and it's like I dissolve them by just imagining and then letting them be. And often I do that maybe a couple of times. I even might rerun it a few times, like, and by the end of it, like it just dissolved a lot of the fear. There might still be some, but it's dissolved a lot, and I'm just not energetically focused on it anymore, because whatever we're fearing, like our energy is focusing on that, right? So then that's where we'll co-create from, because we're actually looking at that. You know, Tony Robbins talks about when he was driving around in this race car, they said, you know, when you're about to hit a wall or something, don't look at the wall, look at where you want to go. Because if you look there, even though your body will want you to, but if you look there, you'll hit it. You know, you got to look here. So I'll do that process, and then I'll look to where I want and what I want instead, after I've dissolved a lot and felt it, you know. And one part of it is the psychology of the brain thinks that it's imagined things are real. So it thinks it's happened. So it doesn't actually have to go there anymore, you know. So that's what I would say. There's a part of you that doesn't want to be visible, even though consciously you do, Dal. Yeah. Does that help?
Yes, thank you.
One last thing I'll say about that too is I'm not always clear on what to do next, though. That's not true. Sometimes you just need to take obvious action. It's not like we always need to have intuitive downloads all the time, you know. Sometimes it's just obvious essential action. And sometimes when we don't get clear advice forward, it's because we're not taking some obvious action and we're resisting something. And as soon as you, and I talked to my clients about this last night, as soon as you take that action towards it, everything else opens up, you know. So just see too, is there anything obvious and essential that you're avoiding? It could be unrelated to business. It could just be something, you know. Cool.
Yeah, well, thank you.
Beautiful, Dal. All right. Now I am aware of the time getting, I said this was going to be about an hour. I am happy to spend more time talking to people though, but I am also aware that some people might need to jump off. So I just want to share something first before I keep going with some of these questions. For those who have to leave. I did mention at the beginning that for anyone who's interested, there are some ways that you can work with me. If you're feeling any alignment with me, if you're feeling there's any energy towards and sort of pull towards what I've been sharing and what I'm on about, there are sort of two ways that you could potentially work with me at the moment if you're feeling that. And this isn't for everyone. I don't want it to be for everyone because I physically can't really work with everyone on here anyway. But if you are feeling it, this is for you. So one of the ways is there are 2 places left in Alchemy, which is my 6-month mastermind. And this is my baby that I love to bits. And it's the work with me that is like the most intimate and the most comprehensive out of all my work. And basically we go through a very intimate container. There's not more than sort of 12 women that I let in at any point because I love it to be intimate. There's a lot of accountability. There's a lot of depth and truth and love in that space, as well as wisdom. They're the pillars of the work. And we go through the work of the superconscious and how like the exact how, everything I've learned and how I've transformed. Like I literally give every single thing to my clients. So we go through the how of the superconscious and how to move from that limited place, that creating nightmares or what you don't want, to your actual dream being in reality. We look at the emotional somatic work because there's deeper emotional work to be done as well to help move that and manifest it at a great rate of knots in not just abundance, but in everything. We look at your intuitive business, so how to bring the superconscious to business so that you can live it with that space of receivership and ease, like I talked about. And we also look at strategy amongst that as well, because there is important elements of strategy and business acumen that women need to have too to run a business. And lastly, we look at the alchemy of money, because you can have all of these pieces, but if your relationship to money and abundance isn't worked with as well, like that was a massive part of my journey on shifting those things, then not a lot of it moves. And the interesting thing is, as I've evolved my relationship with money, my relationship with men, all these other pieces, relationships in general, have moved as well. There's weekly calls, there's small group pod calls with me to get accountability. There's all these things, courage that we do, like all of this stuff. I love it. So there is that opportunity. Now, if you would like information on that, I would love you to just put in the chat a yes, please. Like, I'd like info on that. Again, it's not for everyone. I'm not looking for hundreds of people. If you're really feeling that desire to look at exploring that, working with me, there's no obligation to do it or anything. It's just looking at it. Then put a yes in the chat. That would be awesome. I am also, for ease, if you do put a yes in, can you write your name on how you are called in like Facebook and stuff? Because sometimes people put a yes on there and there says iPhone, and I have like no idea how to contact you. For ease, I'm going to put a link there too. If you want to apply to do a call and look into that or whatever, there's a link there, and you can just send me that, and then you just answer a couple of questions so that I can contact you that way as well. But either way, you put a yes or put on the link. That would be awesome. Now, there's one other opportunity I want to talk to, and then I'm going to come back and answer questions. If you don't feel like you're at the point where you could commit to like a 6-month mastermind and that level of investment of time and money and all the things as well, I do have a condensed version of my work. It's very, very powerful, very, very potent. And it's a 2-day online journey with me called The Alchemy of Abundance. And basically, I realized that there is such key vital work that I want to bring out to more women who just can't, they're on the space at the moment to work with a 6-month sort of program, but they still want to move things, right? And so I put together the condensed version of this work in this real potent, powerful space of, it's 2-day online immersion with me. However, as soon as people sign up to it, they get 3 months of access to the online version to percolate, to integrate and things before the 2-day event. And they get a monthly group calls with me and things as well. So there's like integration time before and after. So it's not just like, here's the event, see you later, you know. And there's like, I pair you up with people to support you. And so there's all this beautiful support as well. So that's the Alchemy of Abundance. And that will be running in February. I can tell you the dates and stuff like that later. However, if you're interested in info on that, can you say abundance in the chat? So I know the difference. Say abundance in chat, then I can know. And again, I'll put that link in as well, because if you're interested in looking at the Alchemy of Abundance, you can answer those questions as well, and we can reach out, but say yes, or abundance as well. That would be awesome. So that's just the 2 little things I wanted to say about that. I didn't want to talk about it forever. I don't, I trust if you feel energy to it, you'll let me know. And if not, I'm here to serve you and love you anyway. So that's awesome. So that's me done on that front. If you want to say yes, then go for it. But otherwise, if people are still here and want to me to answer their questions, I'm happy to stay on a little longer as well. But if you do need to go, I understand, you can go too. I'll just stay on for a little bit more with some ladies who want help. But the girls that have to go, thank you for being here. I love you so much. And yeah, just really, as I said, appreciative of your presence here. And thank you for the gift of just your time. Okay. So is Rachel still here? Trouble finishing things. Do you still want that answered, my love? Yes. You want to tell me more about that?
Yeah.
Or?
So I find that when I go into projects, I'm really like in my power and really excited. And then I just get bogged down with all of the details. And it's like I get to that sort of, towards the finishing bit where I'm going to be remunerated for what I'm doing. And it just like either drags out or creates conflict. And I just create all this shit and I just have trouble finishing it and getting to the end and getting paid for what I'm doing.
Yeah. Okay. Beautiful. Thank you, Dal. So obviously this is like a work of your ego to trip you up, because like the unconscious and the ego doesn't care about you doing stuff. Like it doesn't care about you taking action. It just cares about you really getting close to going for what you want, because that's the scary part, right? The sitting there busily around doing all these fluffy things, like it doesn't care, because it's like it wants that, because then you're not actually doing the thing, right? So it's a bit of a creation of your ego and your unconscious. I think one thing that's really helpful here is when you're tuning into the vision of like what you want to create, you know, and what it is that you want to pull off. I would love you to spend time before you even get going with it or whatever, of just being like, okay, imagining there's a direct route, you know, and actually even embody being there and go there and live in, like, you're in here in the moment and you've created it, it's all happened, right? So even before this call, like I embodied this call and I saw myself getting pumped and excited. And then I saw you guys getting value and I saw people saying, yeah, keen or whatever, right? And the right ones, right? So I lived it before it even happened. So I want you to go there, live it, and then look back and go, okay, what's the direct route that I'm taking here? The real, not the roundabout one, because when I'm seeing this, it's like you're going spin here and go over there and there's just a one-way street just here, you know? So I want you to just go, what's the direct route? And just write, what are the essential things here? What are the absolute essential couple of pieces that I do here, that matter here, that are the most vital and important? And even try to write them write them down just randomly, but then even see if you can order it of like, so okay, I'll tell you with my launch, right, of Alchemy. All right, look at Alchemy. I want to have 12 women in this next Alchemy launch. Okay, so essential. I love masterclasses. I love running things like this. This is how I thrive. And I know a lot of women like seeing me in this way as well. So, okay, I'm going to book some masterclasses. Like I'm going to get my person to put the page up for that one. But even that, I still tell people about it before that's even done, you know, because I could sit there for hours getting her me taught up in the master bloody page. Who gives a crap? Tell people about it and then go create it afterwards, right? So masterclasses, like have some space for sales calls. Like, okay, I don't want to take all my calls. I want my team to take the first ones. And if they're keen, then they come to me. So, okay, get the team set up so that they can do that, you know? Reach out to a couple of people that intuitively come to mind. Let people know about my masterclasses. That's it. That's all that matters. And so every day I've got my list. I know my thing and I've got my key things. And then each week I have my set key things as well. It's like, these are my essential things I need to do. The top 5 things I need to do every day, top 1 to 3 things I need to do. And like my intentions, my priority. And that's the things I go to first. I don't care if I don't want to do it. I don't care how hard it is. I don't care if I'm avoiding it. That's what I do first. And then the other stuff happens outside of that. I feel like that would make a really massive difference to you. The other thing is like having a tune in with you and really being truthful in your unconscious is like, why are we afraid of this? And what is this actually? Why am I resisting this so much? Because it is just a resistance tool for you.
Okay, thanks.
But I think for you, the energy of just focus, you know, when I'm in a launch or anything I create, I'm very focused. Like everything else that has to be done, like it can just be pushed away and that sort of thing. Now, there's also grace in there. Like I was meant to start my launch. I got back from Egypt and I was going to start launching Alchemy that week, but I was tired and I had my retreat. I ran a retreat the week after Egypt. I'm like, that was silly to think I would want to launch Alchemy and have any time for it. So I just pushed it back and I pushed Alchemy back a week. Like, you know, so there's always grace and stuff when we set these things, but I feel like you adding that focus will be clear, really cool. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks.
In terms of like a masculine point of view on like business, focus, certainty, and action is really what is key. There's 3 things. And I mean, the certainty piece is a bit of an energetic element, and there's obviously some other energetic elements that are essential. But from a strategy perspective, like if you just keep taking really focused action and you're backing yourself and you're holding that certainty and you're embodying that more and more as you do that, like, and often that grows the more and more you take action. A lot of people wait to feel confident after, you know, no, they want to feel confident before they go and move. You need to understand, like, courage comes before confidence. So you need to move when you don't. And same with me. I feel scared of doing things all the time. But I know when I move, then I get confident after the fact. I get competent and confident afterwards, not beforehand. I don't wait to feel confident to do something. So that will help as well. Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Dal. All right. Queenie, are you still here? Or I can just answer that if you're not anyway. I don't think you are. So a good meditation for you ladies, if you want to look into one that's cool for tapping into your limitless self, I have one. I have one called Your Creation that it really helps you to focus on your powerfulness, like your power and creating what you want. There is a meditation for people who came live actually that I was going to give you ladies, and I will put it in the chat as well. So this is a similar one. This one just focuses on abundance, but I will give you both of them. The other one who is good, let me just get this link so I don't forget. Hang on, sorry ladies, be 1 second. Link. Okay, so here, that one is the Your Creation one. That's sort of more of a general creation of you tapping into your power in general. And before you go, I will find the money one. I'm not quite sure where it is here. But if you have to leave and you haven't got it, just send me an email or a message and I'll give it to you. So another really good one that I really love is Joe Dispenza. Joe Dispenza has some great ones. But my favorite one of Joe Dispenza's is called Tuning into New Potentials. Tuning into New Potentials. That's the one I was listening to when I was creating my first 10K month. It's really powerful. The one thing I'll say about Joe Dispenza though is that it is very long. His work is very long. And the way I do meditations now as a busy mum with a big business and, you know, my son and all my life, I do sort of 10-minute meditations and things like that. Someone asked a question. Are you supposed to use meditation for a certain time before using another? No, I don't believe there's anything set like that. I mean, I guess in terms of a universe perspective, you know, sometimes things can take 6 to 8 weeks or something to actually come into, you know, from the quantum to reality. Sometimes it's quicker, but sometimes it can have a delay. So be aware of that. But I just think it's important to go with what feels good. You know, when some ritual of mine starts to feel bland or boring, or just there's no this exciting energy with it, or it could just be that I need to be more devoted, but also it could be it's just not working for me anymore. So, but I mean, look, that Joe Dispenza one, I do a certain reiteration of that takes me 10 minutes. And I've done that most days, probably 3 or 4 years, because I change up what I see and I change up what I use it for. So, all right. I'll do a couple more. As I said, I may not be able to get to everyone, but I'll try and set to as many as I can. So Pauline, getting over the scarcity mindset, self-belief. Do you want to say anything else, my love? My 3 a.m. friend?
Hi, Miranda. Happy birthday tomorrow.
Thank you, babe. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, you know what? It's exciting. I was planning this, like, don't screw up the time. But anyways, but thank you so much. What I find is I've been doing lots of meditations. I still do your money meditation every day. And what I'm finding is I'm getting opportunities, but there's no money there. Okay. I know that the scarcity is huge. Yeah. And I've done like some, and this is generational. I'm very, very aware of that.
And often aware of that. Yeah.
Yeah. And deep. So very deep. And so I know that that's part of this block, and I've had enough. I just want to get over it. And one of my colleagues was doing like a tantric kind of thing. That's so I was able to, able to like really tune into my super conscious and like my inner power. I understand that, and it's almost like I'm right at the finish line, but I can't cross.
Yeah. Okay. Couple of things about the scarcity thing and abundance. One is that we really need to be aware of not what we're necessarily focusing on as such, but where we're orientating from is really important with whatever we're doing, right? So why are you doing it? Your subconscious cares more about why are you doing it than what you're doing. So if you're doing a meditation or you're doing an affirmation, so like, I'm rich. It's like, why are you saying that all the time? Like, oh, hang on, you're really afraid of debt and having no money. And, oh, okay. You know, we're powerless with money, we're debt. So you think you're doing the thing and you're right thing, but you're coming from a completely different motivation and reason. And it sees that. And so it actually gets worse. And that pisses you off because then you're getting worse. And you're like, I'm doing all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
You're trying to fix a problem. If you're trying to fix a problem ever, you're going to create more of it. Remember what I said in my story with John and my man stuff, trying to fix, and look where I flipping got, you know, trying to fix a problem in my business. Look where it got me. I stopped trying to fix problems and just started focusing on what I want to create and what I would love. And imagining when I had that debt, I actually just imagined I'm abundant. Like there's no problem. There's no problem. I have fucking $25,000 out of my bank account. There was one, but there wasn't in my mind, right? And I wasn't coaching or trying to do this stuff because there was a problem. I loved these women I was working with. I was happy to do it for free because I was growing myself, I was transforming their life. It was fucking amazing. And if I get, you know, I really would love, you know, this abundant life because I'd love it, you know, and I'd love to do this and this and this because I would love it. And I'd love to have the power of that choice. And like, how awesome would that be? Wouldn't it be nice if you focus more and more on that? And again, from that light attachment of playfulness, right? It's not like I need. And that's why that unconditional love and just knowing you're full and whole and well as you are, there's nothing wrong with you. You are not broken. You're complete. And this is just awesome bonus. Like with men and things, right? I would love a relationship, but I'm coming from it now of like, I would love it. I'm not lacking. I'm not single and like desperate and needing someone because I'm a loser without one. Like I love my life, right? And it'd be awesome to have someone else because it'd be a bonus. But if, you know, if not for now, I'm love my life. I love me. I'm perfect as I am, you know. That's a very different energy. Whereas before I was coming from a different space, right? So I'd say that's a really key thing. The other thing is it's not just about a meditation. Like the meditations don't, you know, they're just a portal. If you do a meditation in the morning and then the rest of the day you're sitting there freaking out about money and worried about money and looking at your bank account, freaking out, it's like, it doesn't matter what you did in the morning, right? Every 4 hours or so, your unconscious resets and you go back to your default. So when I was in that, like that month where I really had a massive breakthrough, when I was in that debt, I was very disciplined and devoted to every time I noticed myself go into scarcity, I would just notice it, speak out that unconscious, the fear, and like see my bank account and go, fuck, you know, again, and let all that out. And then I just go back to, however, I'm so grateful and I'm really loving this. I'm so thankful for money. And I also just started working my relationship with money because when we're in a scarcity place, I want to finish that bit, pivot. You got to keep pivoting all day. No, and not desperately thinking you're working at it, but just noticing and just pivot, not just in the morning and leave it. Just keep pivoting, you know. But I started working on my relationship with money. I was so pissed off with it, thought it was never around. Like imagine it as a human being. How would your relationship with it be? I used to be like, you suck, you're never here. You know, stay down in the dungeon, never leave. Like, don't go, like, stop leaving me. Like, you know, it'd be a horrible relationship, right? So I just started working on my thankfulness and love of money in terms of just respect, gratitude for it going and paying a bill and what it was paying for when I received it, setting a prayer and intention, and really being thankful for the $70 I got from that client, even though, you know, I used to be like, oh, that's $70 I should be getting, you know, but it's like, no, thank you so much, and send a prayer for that person and set that intention, you know. So they're the things I'd say, Dal.
Okay.
Yeah, that would be what I'd say.
The other big thing is the whole feeling whole thing. And truly, without a doubt, knowing I can do this, like the whole success block that I have. Because, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No. I was going to say, like, no, there is a part of you, you're super, and this is the thing of the limited and the limitless, like there is a part of you that is limited. There's a part of me that's limited. I'm not sitting here limitless 24/7, you know, we have an unconscious and we have a super conscious. Give your unconscious space to speak, listen to her, let her speak her truth, and then let your super conscious speak, listen to her and go with her, right? Unconscious just wants to be heard and she just wants to have a voice. You don't have to believe it. You have to buy into it, but you're going to have doubt. You're going to not think you're worthy all the time. I get on here going, I'm going to talk my story. And then like, how much value is that going to be? Like, you know, honestly, a couple of minutes before the call, like, and I had to just voice that and then go into my truth of the power of it, you know, but we're going to have both voices. They never go. You're never
Yeah.
going to get to a point where I'm worthy now. You don't have to.
Right.
You know, you just have to listen to this piece, and then 51% of the time, slight predominant focus over here. 51%. Some of the day you can still be off talking your bullshit, you know, but just pivot back as often as you can, you know.
Okay. Okay.
I
Oh,
feel for
that's
you,
awesome.
Dal. Less stress, less pressure, less expectation. You know, you're really hard on yourself, and you
Oh yeah.
you're really expecting like climbing and like that pressure. As soon as like even my launch, right? I'll tell you about this. I had like 8 women like sign up real quick, and then there was like 2 weeks where just like it took forever for some people to get their money done and all this. Like there was just a spot, and I'd noticed I'd started to be like, I was thinking it was going to be finished in a week or 2, right? I was like, oh, this is. So there was a bit of resistance, sabotage going on with that as well. However, there was a part of me just being a bit more holdy or graspy with it or something, you know, just some energy around, a bit more attached to it. And it has to be this number. And I just did my energy work on that, release that attachment and release the pressure. And there was like 2 people we just didn't know if the money would come through or not, finance, or, you know, and I just released it. I was like, I released them, you know, if it's meant to be, it will, if not, it won't. And it's literally the next day that it all fell and happened, right? Fell into place. And but I wasn't like, it has to anyway. I was like, I'm open, you know? So that pressure is strangling the universe's ability to do anything, because you're trying to control it, which is deeply about distrust.
Lots of distrust.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know,
Awesome.
work on those pieces and just see how you've been provided for, how you have moved.
And I
look at that stuff too. Because you're getting all of that, right?
see, and that's the thing, is that just like the other day, like literally yesterday, there was a relationship that I had with somebody who had hired me, and he was just really not a nice person. He was being very disrespectful, things like that, treating me as who I used to be, not who I am now. And so just lots of disrespect there. And I put that energy out there to transform that and transition that. And the very, like yesterday morning, literally phoned, and he was calm. He was respectful. It was awesome. And I was like, this works.
And
So
also
awesome.
like, be curious as to why you co-creating that as well before, right? You know, when you're going to check, because whenever I bring anything interesting in, I'm like, oh, where am I? There was someone escaping me the other day, and then I'm like, okay, where am I escaping myself, or what am I escaping? You know, because they're and they came back. You know, when I came back to me, they came back, right? So it was, it's just always like curious. So good.
No, I greatly appreciate, like, seriously, just this time with you, Miranda. I really, really do, because I've just really noticed that mirror in the last couple of weeks of myself, what I am putting out there, what I'm getting back. I've really noticed that. So I really,
it's sometimes really subtle, and you're like, I don't get this, right? But good job, Dal.
Thank you so much. Have a wonderful birthday.
Thanks, babe. Now, I don't know who's still here and who still has a question. So if you've written a question in there and you're here, please unmute, because I'm just sort of a bit not sure anymore. Is anyone still here that had a question? That wrote
Can I ask a question?
Julia, yes.
Sorry, I stuffed up the times.
That's okay. You snuck in. All right.
I would like to know if everybody could unmute and we could all sing happy birthday to you.
You're funny.
I'm not singing it alone.
Let's do that. All right. Okay. If you want to do that now, go for it. I'll let you.
Let's do it. Unmute. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to Miranda.
Happy birthday to you.
That's hilarious. Thanks, Dom. You just hear like these random voices coming in and out and whatever. That's awesome. Thank you, Dom. Thanks for that question, Julia. Sneaky girl. All right. Thank you, babe. Appreciate it. Lovely to see you. And you can get the replay of the bits you missed. That's cool. Joe, did you unmute?
I did, yeah. Mine's a very quick question. I'd like to know the dates in February, if you don't mind, because I I'm doing several dress rehearsal launches, and then I'm doing my actual launch in February, and I just can't have it clashing. There's only so much energy in the world at one time.
Fair enough.
But I'd love to do, I answered abundance, but it would be helpful to know what the dates are in Friday, if you don't mind, or in February, if you don't mind.
Okay, yes. Let me get to it in one sec, because I thought I had it up there, but it's moved. Here we go. Should probably know it, but I just decided the other day. So I'm pretty sure it's the last week of Feb, but let me just have a look.
Awesome.
My computer's liking to figure itself out. 25th and 26th of Feb, Saturday and the Sunday.
Cool. I think I can do that. That's just after my launch, so I still will be pretty busy and a bit tired. So actually, it's probably a good time to do it.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, a lot of the girls that did it got a lot of energy, and I one of the girls like manifested a 10K week after that, and hadn't done that in like 2 years or something.
And I'll still be doing my follow-up sales and stuff like that. So
it'd be actually a really great time, Dal.
It would, yeah.
There's money trying to come to you. It's like, let's tweak this and
stop getting in its way.
Awesome.
Okay, fab. Well, I've answered abundance in the question. So yeah, if you can send me the information, that would be wicked. That sounds like it was meant to be. The universe has decided.
Yeah. Right at the time we want to turn the abundance up. Awesome. Thanks.
Yeah.
I hope to see you. But yeah, let's chat. Beautiful, Joe. All right. Someone else. Claire, did you unmute? Someone?
Yeah.
Who's Jolanta? Is that how I say
your name? Yolanta, yeah, that's right.
Jolanta.
First of all, I want to say thank you so much. Everything what you told, was touching my heart. It so resonate, even make tears come out, and so much emotion still coming. And I'm so grateful because I feel your energy and you're so beautiful and powerful as a woman. I always wish to be, I maybe don't have so much confidence still because I'm just starting maybe this journey. And I have a question, and happy birthday for tomorrow. Be always happy like you are. You're shining like a sun, your shirt with your smile. And oh my God, I just, when I take picture, just look at you. It makes inspiration of it, So I have a question I always focus so much on releasing blockages. I know I have them so much. My life was tough. I went through horrible things, and still keep going. But now I have hope all the time, coming, because every month coming paid to bills, it's struggle. Every time I'm a single mother. I have 4 children, and it's quite hard, I'm in London based, but it's still very, very tough times right now. And I'm focused so much in that releasing blockages and releasing things. And I try to build my business. I'm in network marketing for 13 years, but it's like I'm on the same, I don't move. I just move. I was telling you in the chat that, 8-9 years ago, I was building business and then I stopped. I can't move from that stage. There's so much fear coming in me, whatever I want to do, talk to people, and I'm numb. And I cannot get from that part further, Even forgot what I want to tell, even forgot what I know, everything is gone, What is your advice would be in that kind of...
Well, firstly, I just really want to, acknowledge you, Dal, and the resilient woman that you are. I know you say that you see this sun and power, and you can only see what is in you and is a reflection in you. You're seeing me in that way. That's because you are that, and I'm just mirroring who you are. And, I think it's just really powerful and important for you to acknowledge yourself. The fact that you're a single mother of 4 kids. They adore you, and you're doing such a beautiful job for them. And it's really important for you to acknowledge that and see yourself in that way. Because I think the thing that was coming up for me when you were sharing about, I'm trying to work so much on the blocks is You're spending a lot more time seeing yourself in the unconscious and the fears and the worries and the doubts and the blocks and your failings and your mistakes and your regrets and your guilt and your shame. And it's like you're swimming in the shadow, you know, and the shadow is important to see, but we don't stay there, but we'll drown, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I was for a long time. Like, and you say I'm confident. I wasn't always like this, and I didn't back myself. I didn't believe any worth anything, right? And in alchemy, there are 3 parts to alchemy. It's a triangle. Love, truth, and wisdom are the 3 parts to alchemy. And what I find is the problem in a lot of spaces or modalities and people who have been in the personal development world and tried for so long and they're not getting it is because often one of the 3 or all of the 3 or something's missing, right? So with truth, right now, from your concoction, the potion you're creating, like there's too much truth in terms of you're in the shadow, the unconscious, the dark side, like you're focusing on the blocks. You're too in that you're focusing so much on that and you're staying stuck there and you're seeing yourself in that limited way. So then you're creating your life from that perspective. It doesn't matter how hard you're trying to work to get out of it, your focus is there. So even whenever you're pulling to try and get out of it, you're attached here. So you're just going here and then back again. And that's exhausting, you know?
It is. Yeah, I realize right now. Yeah.
And so there's actually a whole nother part of the triangle. Like that's important to know about, to see, to be aware of. In the embodiment world, I find, because I'm in a lot of different worlds, like they're too into that space a lot of the time. And so they'll not create what they want. They'll just sit there doing shadow work 24/7 and they don't get anywhere and they don't get what they want because they're just stuck there, you know? It's powerful, but too much of anything is poison. And that's what happens. Then there's the love space and your super conscious and what you desire and your vision and your power and like, you know, your limitless nature. Like there's that part of you. And that's the part for you. If you tap more into that, and you spend like, and I have another old masterclass, send me an email, Dal, and look at that because I talk more about it specifically. But if you look on my YouTube site, there's like old videos too, and you can see the old ones of that. But the more you tune into that and put more power into that, like your life will lift. And that's literally when my turning point happened of me becoming more of a limitless woman. I just put more focus on that because I was similar to you and I was just swimming over here and didn't even know this part of me existed. The more I saw myself from that perspective and lived in that place, like the more I created what I wanted, you know? So it's about being aware of the truth, sharing that, being open to it, like being there, but then going into what you love, seeing yourself from that higher vision, seeing the life that you love and desire. I did one of those visioning exercises before I even knew about this stuff. And one thing I asked was like, I want to live at the beach. I thought it was like a 5-year, 10-year away thing. The next year, an opportunity came for me to be able to live at the beach. Just because I wrote the vision of what I desire, just put it out in the world. Often that is enough, you know, to just open up opportunities. You're not spending enough time in your view of yourself as a limitless woman and your desire, you know? So that's the love piece. And then finally, one thing I'll say about that is some people swim too much here and they don't acknowledge the truth and they don't acknowledge their shit and they don't acknowledge the human. And so then they don't climb anywhere because they're trying to be Superman, but they're tied to the ground and they're not unlatching from all this. So both are needed. Some people are too much in one and it's a poison, but if it's together and balanced, it's a potion, you know? And then the other one is wisdom. And wisdom is about taking from that love space and your desire and knowing who you are, take the obvious action, the inspired action that takes you towards that. And this is where the strategy, hustle, action people spend too long here and they're all this, but they don't have the other part. So then that's where I was for a long time. And I was just trying to shoot at everything and do everything, but nothing was hitting, right? But when I like dealt with my unconscious and then dealt with my superconscious, it was accurate and I could target and take that direct action that matters. So my thought to you is, yeah, you need to hang out more in your superconscious style and then take action from that space. Acknowledge this. When you get triggered, like come back here, but don't focus on the blocks. You know, don't focus on that. That's not where the focus is.
Yeah, and another thing is like what you said is so true because the most of time I'm spending on focusing what is wrong. And when I try to create, I don't have energy for that. It's so quick takes, you know, in that I'm sitting and observing, you know, who I am and who I'm not. And when I want to create what I want, there is no energy because I'm get so tired, or even, you know, you cannot get there because of the focus. So I do balance, like I have to balance the knowledge days and go there. That's I was, maybe I'm not even now. It's not me anymore, actually. Yeah. And
I think
need
for you, like bringing more self-compassion and self-love to yourself, like again, listening to your inner critic, being aware of what it's saying, but bring the love to her, bring the love to yourself. Like, because with your kids, like they thrive, plants thrive, animals thrive, everything, human beings, every living thing, we thrive on love. We just get destroyed on hate. And if you're internalizing a lot of hate and shame, and like you're hurting yourself, right? So just pour that love, and that way that you see. One of the beautiful ways I really did it is imagining my child, like Harry, when he was born, like, and now as a kid, the way I see him, speak to him, seeing my inner child that way and speaking to her with that same level of adoration and love, you know, but she didn't get that as a kid in the way I wanted it. But I'm now her mum who can do that to her, you know? So yeah. Give that to yourself.
Thank you so much. Appreciating how so much ease came on my heart. Thank you. I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. Thank you so much, Miranda.
I'm really sending you lots of love, doll. Thank you for who you are. You're a gift to us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Paul. Thank you so much, ladies. Appreciating so much. So thank you. All I wish you best for you. Just be happy and love yourself so much. Thank you.
I think we should run this once a month or something, just to share the love. Eh? It's so good. All right. I'm going to do one more, just aware of the time. And my eyes are getting tired. I'm sure yours are, or whatever. But yeah, one more. Who's the last person I'm going to speak to? Or else we might not have any that want to do it. No. Okay. We don't have anyone that wants to unmute. Cool. We're done. I'm not seeing all these messages that are left, so I don't know if you're saying it there, but you're just sending love. Okay. I feel like we're done. Good. All right, my loves. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your presence, your time, your energy, everything. So much love to you all. And yeah, we'll see you on the social media side, but otherwise I'm sure I'll do another masterclass, Jan, or something like that. I'm having a month off soon now, but I'll be back. We'll be back. Thanks, ladies. Love you.
Thank